Loving Sairams. It is very difficult to talk after Ravi Raj sings. Because whenever he sings, you are lost for words. You know, you become so teary-eyed. You're connected to Swami at such a deep and blissful level, you don't even feel like speaking. So we had a little interaction with the group 4 while the singing was going on. And I'd like to share another little humor story. Bhagwan has mandated us to be happy. He says you should not walk around with castor oil faces. Spirituality is not a killjoy, militant-looking kind of attitude, because we are embodiments of Ananda. And look at Swami, he's always smiling, always full of bliss no matter what happens. His name is Satya, which is truth. So 2 young adults in Trinidad, it was Christmas time. They wanted to do seva for children in the village, but they had no money. So the 2 of them came up with a little ploy. They identified the richest neighborhood in the country, the richest house. And then one young adult said, I will play that I am dumb. So they identify the house, goes and he knocks on the door, and a very rich-looking lady comes out. Good morning. She said, what happened? Are you dumb? And her heart overflowed with compassion. She brought him inside, gave him a hot meal. And he left with a box of groceries, a little stove, and some toys. And he ran back to his friend and he said, wow, look how much things we have gotten for the underprivileged children. So his friend said, well, if you got so much, let me go and try. So he goes to the same house, knocks on the same door, the same lady comes out, good morning. She said, what happened? Are you dumb too? He said, yes, ma'am. You know, in Trinidad, I'm normally requested to do masters of ceremony at weddings. So I had to do a lot of research on jokes on marriage. So this is an academic definition of marriage. Marriage is an institution where a man loses his bachelor's degree and a woman gains her master's. But all our husbands know that the wife is the boss, right, Sai? My wife, I have been married for 27 years and we've never quarreled. We have such a good communication process. She talks and I listen. The recipe of a good marriage is happy wife, happy life. I was traveling on a British Airways flight from London to Bangalore in one of my Puttaparthi trips, and I noticed the air hostess was serving a very distinguished-looking gentleman, jacket and tie, but his wedding ring was on his wrong finger. So she said, sir, aren't you wearing your wedding ring on your wrong finger? He said, yes, I married the wrong lady. See, Baba says in marriage, 2 things happen. First, there must be adjustment, and second, there must be understanding. So if there is adjustment and understanding, then there is unity in the marriage. But these 2 young adults just got married, and the adjustment period was a little bit difficult. So one day, the 2 young adults engaged in a very bitter quarrel about mother-in-law and food. And he was so mad, he goes into his room, takes a picture of his wife, puts it at the back of the door, and he starts to throw darts at it. But every time he throws the dart, he's missing the picture. So his wife was in the kitchen and she was cooking. She said, honey, how are you doing? He said, just missing you. The best definition I've ever had on marriage is this. This is a one-liner that was sent to me. Before marriage, man is incomplete. After marriage, he's finished. So, brothers and sisters, what I'd like to share. How much time? Good. A very, very important point, and this is something that is very dear to my heart. Wherever I go to speak, I always request that I want to have a session with the gurus, the parents, and the children. In one interview that I had with Swami, I said, Swami, what kind of seva should I do in this life? Specifying this incarnation. And he said, you teach the children, help the older people, and visit the hospitals. Hence the reason why I became an SSC teacher for the last 30 years. But in the early 80s, I knew nothing of the 5 teaching methods, which are silent sitting, devotional singing, storytelling, group activity, and prayers. So I had to go now and learn all the mantras, all the prayers, how to tell a story, how to sing, in order to become an effective Bal Vikas Guru or SSC teacher. And in that journey, I learned so much of Swami, his universality, and his teachings. So I really believe that the most important activity in the Satya Sai organization is SSC. I'll tell you why. Bhagwan's life is his message. He says 75% of his time was spent with who? The younger ones. The students are my property, he says. And so if his life is his message, then we must give the same attention to our children, because they are the future leaders of tomorrow's generation. Your child in a Bal Vikas class could be the next president of the United States. You don't know. They may hold very powerful, influential positions, and in your hands lie their future. Bhagwan says character development of children is like a three-legged stool. You have the parent, the teacher, and then the child. If one of the legs is removed, the whole stool will capsize. So what is the role really of the parent before the child even reaches the school or Bal Vikas? Swami talks about the 9-month period of the pregnancy. That if you want to bring a good soul into the world, the mother's bloodstream is the child's bloodstream. Whatever the mother thinks, whatever she reads, whatever she interacts with, whatever she talks about impacts the fetus. And in order to attract a high soul, if you engage in good activity, spiritual activity, bhajan singing, reading good and holy books, you can then attract a good soul, and then that parent will not have any problems for the rest of the child's life, because you have, in a very scientific and spiritual way, conditioned what soul should come to you, and this is important. Brothers and sisters, from the age of 0 right up to 6, 75% of the personality of the child is formed. After 6 years old, only 25%. So the mother especially plays a very important role in the character development of the children. Bhagwan says 99.9% of parents spoil their children. You all agree? Say yes. Because we all do. If a child should go bad, Baba says, blame the parents. As the parent, so the child. And the most powerful influence is not what you tell the child, but it is your example in the home. So don't tell me what to do, show me what to do. The family that prays together stays together. Bhagwan says, if there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. If there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. Everything begins in the home. I remember, and many of you all may be aware of this, Bhagwan says that sometimes parents are hypocrites. They tell the children what they are not practicing. So it causes psychological damage in the minds of children. To give you a quick example that Swami gave, this child went to SSC classes, taught the value of honesty, came home, and the parents were watching television, the telephone rings, and the child comes back and tells the father, Dad, Mr. John is on the phone to you. The father tells the child, go and tell him I'm not at home. Hare Krishna. The child who has to look upon the father as the embodiment of God is telling the child to lie. And he has just learned the value of honesty in the class. So what does he do? He goes to the phone and he says, my father says to say he's not at home. And this is how we damage our children psychologically, brothers and sisters. So the very first type of behavior in the home where character development is concerned, be a good example. And the 9-point code of conduct has a very important aspect or sadhana for character development. The first of the 9-point code of conduct is what? Tell me. Daily japa and meditation to strengthen the individual. What's the second one? Not too many hands one time. The second one is that family satsang at least once per week. How many of us practice this, honestly? Let me see a show of hands. Daya Karo, Lord have mercy. I'll show you how important this particular sadhana is. Beloved devotees, if you practice the 9-point code of conduct, you will attain salvation, because it's designed first to build the individual, then the family, and then the community. So it doesn't make sense that you neglect your home to do service on the outside. So let's see how the family satsang is very important. In our home, when our 2 children were very small, we made a promise to Swami that every single Sunday we would have the family satsang. And nothing would stop in the way of it. So for 1 hour, from 5 to 6, we had this mandate in our home. Each child had a responsibility of picking the flowers, setting up the altar, lighting the diya, etc. And one child had to do a research to do a value-based message 3 to 5 minutes long. And because in Trinidad we have Muslim, Christians and Hindus, in our Bal Vikas classes, each child, although 99% of the children came from Hindu homes, each child knew Muslim prayers, Christian prayers, Hindu prayers. They could sing Islamic songs, bhajans, as well as Christian hymns. It's amazing to see when they come together how magnetic they would be. In that format of the satsang, we would have the family satsang. We'd have a Muslim prayer, Christian prayer, Hindu prayer. We would have devotional singing. We don't call it bhajan singing in Trinidad because devotional singing is more universal and all-encompassing. So we would sing bhajans, Islamic songs and hymns. Then we'll have a short period of silent sitting, and then one child will get up and deliver a message. Then we'll have the arti, where the children do arti and touch the feet. That entire thing could last about 40 to 45 minutes. Now, what are the benefits that accrue in such a satsang? Well, 1, the child learns respect and adoration of the parents. 2, the child learns self-confidence in being able to research and get up and speak publicly. 3, they learn universality in the 3 prayers and the singing of devotional songs, that sarva dharma attitude that God is one. But it's interesting to see what happens after. After the satsang, my wife will go and make a pot of tea and a little cake and then bring it into the living room, and then we all sit as a family and we have a parliamentary discussion. We tell our children when they were very small that we value your opinion. You all are integral parts of this family, so we want to hear what your views are. So we would go around in a circle about certain things that happened during the course of the week. And if we as parents felt that the children were not spending enough time with their homework or too much time on Facebook, we would have that discussion. And then we allowed the children to critique us as parents. And one day my eldest daughter, Amrita, said, "Daddy, you're putting on too much weight." So I said, "Okay, I will eat less." Then one day I was going Bal Vikas classes and I was running late. So I was driving fast. I went through the red light. She said, "Dad, and you're a guru. What kind of example is that, Dad?" And then I had to humbly say, "I'm so sorry." And in this way, we had open, respectful discussion in the home. And the children grew up like this. And that is the power of the family satsang. Once a month, as a family, they would prepare sandwiches and water, and we'd go to the homeless in the nearby street, and the children will give it with their own hands. So they learned the value of giving back and seeing what it's like for other people in a suffering mood. So we had fun as a family together, we prayed together, we did service together, and the children have grown up like this. Never ever feel that your child is not digesting what is being taught. Even though they may rebel, but silently they internalize what your teachings are. And I'll give you a quick example. My first daughter went to Waterloo, University of Waterloo in Canada, and one day she sends me a picture with 400 tins of food. So I said, Amrita, what is this picture about? She said, Dad, you won't believe what I did. Trick or treat, that Halloween, where they would collect only chocolates, she went with a group of friends and collect tins of food. And 400 tins of food, she gave it to the soup kitchen to help the hungry and the homeless. And I said, wow. That could only have come from their upbringing in Balvikas, what we used to do in Trinidad in helping the needy and the hungry. So brothers and sisters, if you have not started the family satsang, do it. Start it now, because tomorrow is not in your hands, yesterday is gone. All we have is today. The family satsang is the very fabric and foundation of spirituality, because everything starts in the home. Balvika's gurus and teachers have a very important role. There's a saying, no written word, no spoken plea can teach young minds what men should be. No all the books on all the shelves, but what the teachers are themselves. Baba says, as the teacher, so the student. If one child in a class is bad, that is not so bad. When one teacher is bad, generations of children will become bad. Good parents plus good teachers equals a good student. In 1986, in the EHV conference, where Swami presided upon, there was a story told that has remained with me since, about the role of parents and teachers. This is a true story that happened in India. A school supervisor went into a remote village in India in a primary school. The teacher had a huge map of India on the blackboard, teaching the history of India. And after the teacher finished, the school supervisor went to the front of the class and asked permission to question the children to see how much they had learned from the class. So he took a similar map of India, and in front of the class, he tore it into little pieces, and it fell on the table in front of the class. And he said, I have torn this map of India into little pieces, something that is considered a great constitutional offense. I'm challenging any student here to put it back together. Some of the most brilliant children in the class came forward, but none could put it back together. But there was one 6-year-old child who used to sit at the back of the class. He was considered a dunce head. He could not read too well. He couldn't even write his own name. When everybody had tried, he put his little hands and he said, Sir, may I try? And in pin-drop silence, he walked to the front of the class. And within 2.5 to 3 minutes, he put the whole map of India together. And this shocked the school supervisor, the teacher, and the students. And the supervisor said, my dear fellow, how were you able to put this entire map of India when some of the most brilliant children in your class failed? And again, very respectfully, put his little hands and he said, Sir, you see, while you were tearing the map, I was looking at your hands. And I noticed at the back of the map was a picture of a child. And all that I did was put the pieces of the child together. And when I put the pieces of the child together, I put the whole map of India together. If we can assemble the child with human values, we will assemble the world. And this is the duty and responsibility of parents and SSC teachers. So the roles that we have is sacred and responsible, and we must give it our greatest attention, because you are responsible for your children. So never make excuses. Take the time to invest in them so that they will have to deal with their lives as to go ahead. So I wanted to share this aspect with you, that this is very, very important. Brothers and sisters, I just want to take the last few minutes and talk about Trinidad and Tobago. So Trinidad and Tobago, from Florida, it's 3.5 hours. So from the very outset, I'm inviting all of you all to come to Trinidad and Tobago. After we do this, then you all will tell me if you want to come, right? We have 1.3 million people and we have 45 Sai Baba centers, one in almost every village in the country. You can go to a Sai Baba satsang in Trinidad every single day of the week. So if you want to get liberation quickly, in Trinidad, we build a house for a needy family in 2.5 hours every single Sunday. We have 4 radio programs, 1 hour per station per week, that reflect the message, the mission, and the teachings of Sri Satya Sai Baba. Our forefathers came from North India 162 years ago to work on the sugarcane plantations as indentured laborers. So you were like 3rd or 4th generations. And the unity in diversity came because the journey from India with the ship took 3 to 6 months. So Muslims, Christians, and Hindus were all in one ship. And they bonded together to deal with the vicissitudes and problems of the sea, with disease and sickness and starvation. So when they came on land, there was that unity in diversity and that love and bonding that they came with on the ship. And today in Trinidad, in every village, you could find a mosque, a temple, and a church existing side by side without any war or conflict. Everyone lives in harmony. It's not difficult in Trinidad for a Muslim to marry a Hindu and live in harmony, or a Muslim to marry a Christian, or a Hindu to marry a Christian and live well, because that is how the culture. If a Muslim is having a prayers, he will invite his Christian and Hindu brothers and they will all come and partake and help. If a Hindu is having his puja, then he will invite his Christian and Muslim friend. This is how the culture of Trinidad, we have grown up in this very unified way. Bhagwan once said of Trinidad and Tobago, he says, there's a little island in the Caribbean that is the jewel of my eye. It's Trinidad. And when Charles Penn wanted to come to Tobago, Baba revealed to him, Tobago means to Baba go. So let's go back to the first slide. Right. In Trinidad and Tobago, we also have what you call Satya Sai, we could change, Satya Sai preschools. And these preschools, we have partnered with the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And we've become the only spiritual organization in the history of Trinidad and Tobago to have been given denominational status, which means that the government funds 80% of the expenditure without compromising our character development syllabus. This child is an autistic child, different. And there was a poster competition in the whole of Trinidad and Tobago in his age group on non-violence. And this Sai child from our preschool came first in the entire country. And that's the poster on non-violence at the back of him. That is a product of the Satya Sai preschools. These are the children in the classrooms. And here they're doing silent sitting. 95% of the children attending the Satya Sai school are non-devotees children. And this has been so amazing that these little children will go back home and then tell mommy or daddy, Mommy, Daddy, time to do silent sitting. And the parents now have to sit with the child. Mommy, before we eat, we must say prayers before meals. So the parents now have to sit with the children. And so the children transforms the homes. Now there's a long waiting list for children to enter the Satya Sai preschool because of the character development that they obtain there. Let's go back one slide. Now this is a Satya Sai Seva project in a school in a downtrodden area, and you see you have a picture of Christ, a symbol of Islam, and then Swami is there. And we do a medical service at the school with dental, vision, No, we need to go back. Prabhu, you're going too fast. Right. And this is a school saver that we do, and then we have counselors, because sometimes the parents and the children go through many problems, and we provide counseling services. Go to the next slide. Right, feeding the homeless. We can keep it here. There is a center in the heart of the city in Trinidad and Tobago, where since November 2016, they have been preparing approximately 600 meals and distributing it to the hungry and the homeless on the city streets. And this project here is 860 nights when this video was done, but it's now crossed 1,000 consecutive nights. Every single night, this saver takes place in the heart of the city. So here is where in the kitchen they prepare the vegetables for cooking. And then we stir the food and prepare the food. Many, many volunteers come. This lady is Miss Universe 1998, Wendy Fitzwilliam. She won Miss Universe in 1998, and one day she brought her son to the kitchen, and she was so inspired by this service, she decided to come on her own and render service. Brothers and sisters, this is an example of how doing Baba Seva could also propagate his message. Because what has happened in this kitchen, because it's in the heart of the city, doctors, lawyers, companies were inspired by what was happening, and then they would come and take a day and prepare everything. Companies that provide like water, they would come and donate water, donate foodstuffs, and medical doctors and attorneys will come. And so it has mushroomed out into the entire society, where everybody now takes part in the Feeding the Homeless program. It's become a national event. And now people begin to ask, well, who is behind all of this? Where is this coming from? And then we have an opportunity now to share about our beloved Divine Master. So about 600 boxes, and we finish around 6:30 in the night. And then we go to some of the most drug-infested, dangerous streets in the city. We go to distribute the food. In one particular street, we have drug lords and people with sniper guns. But those drug lords have, once they know that it is Satya Sai Baba, they welcome us because they say, Sai Baba is a man of love, so come. And we distribute the food. This is Dr. Reddy and Phil Goslin. They had come to Trinidad a couple of years ago, and they went with us to distribute the food. This is an example of feeding someone on the pavement. Then house building saver. The house building saver started in 2010. Approximately 265 houses have been built for needy families throughout the West Indies, an average of about 37 or 40 per year. There was a hurricane in Dominica 2 years ago, and the Satya Sai organization took 108 members, and we built 19 houses in 3 days, 6 per day, in some very precarious high areas. To give you an example, in Trinidad, this is an example of a family living in a house that is very dilapidated and broken down. So what the organization does, we do an assessment, identify that there is a need, and once we identify the need, then we begin the construction process. So what we do, this is a shot of somebody in Dominica. The damage was so bad, this person was living in his toilet, because everything was ravished and destroyed. That was the extent of the damage, and it really wrenches your heart to see the conditions people live in after the hurricane. This is what happened in Haiti. Remember, in Haiti, 250,000 people lost their lives. And Swami gave permission for the Trinidad Sai organization to go and build houses, do the medical camps together with the US, and also distribute foodstuffs. These were government buildings in Haiti. So this is how we build a house. The Sunday before, we cast a concrete foundation, depending on the size of the house, 20 by 20, and we let it cure for 7 days. The next week, 45 to 50 young adults get together, and it is clinical to see. Each young adult knows exactly what their sphere of service is, and on that particular day, some are on the ground, some are putting the walls up, some are painting, some are repairing the door, some are on the roof, and it happens simultaneously. We begin with chanting the Gayatri mantra 3 times, and everybody does it with so much love and unity. What this seva also does is that we draw people from the village where we build the houses, and they all come and taste the sweetness of what this service is. And beloved devotees, you won't believe, people have gotten to love this seva so much that if one day we don't have it, they're like fish out of water. They said, come on, we need to build a house somewhere. There's so much of love and enthusiasm. And what we really have done here is not so much build the houses and share the food. We are really sharing the love of Mother Sai. So here, it's almost completed. And this is a complete house. You see the electricity, the water, it's burglar proof, and it's fully furnished. After the house is built, we carpet it, we give them beds, we get cooked food, and then we have a little Sai Baba Satsang to bless the house. And the recipients, when they get it, they break down and they cry. One lady said, she said, only God can do this. She never believed when you see where they live to what is happening. So somebody can go to the market at 6 o'clock in the morning with nothing there and come back at 8 a.m. and see a fully constructed house that can withstand hurricane winds of 125 miles per hour. One of these houses costs approximately 15 to 20,000 US dollars, and we bill about 40 per year. All the monies come from devotees and donations. Other people in the country too, when they're inspired by the seva, they also get involved. I just want to share with you some of our buildings and Sai centers in Trinidad. Our headquarters is at the Sai Nilayam, inaugurated on the 23rd of November 1996. And this is our building headquarters that could hold approximately 2,000 to 2,500 people. People like Andres and Sai and Ravi has actually performed there on the stage. So it has a beautiful hall, a bookstore, and we have a Satya Sai preschool there now. So these are all the lovely pictures. This is the altar and the main hall. This is Baba's chair. And pictures. Right, the Ishwaramma Sai Center now is in the southern part of the country, and this was built by a Sai family. When we took the photos to Swami, Swami signed the photos and he said, I love the garden. Who is the gardener? So you're going to see pictures. This is the side of the Ishwaramma Sai Center. This is the garden that Swami said that he liked on other parts. This is the main hall with the altar. And at the back, this picture is the same one in the Mandir in Prashanti Nilayam. This is the seating area, and this can hold a large capacity as well. This is the entrance. And this stupa, if you keep it here, this stupa was built by the same person, Sai, what is his name? Subramanyam, who built the one in Puttaparthi. He brought a group of volunteers from India for 3 months and they constructed this stupa. It's really, really amazing. And Sri Vednarayan and students had come when we were having the opening of this ceremony. It's truly a monumental example of universality. There you get a whole picture of it. And this is the kitchen area, and now we have a preschool next to the kitchen that will be opening soon. And this is the main entrance leading up to the prayer hall. And this is the altar, beautiful altar with Swami. So brothers and sisters, this represents some of the activities that we do in Trinidad and Tobago, this tiny twin island that has been blessed by Baba. And as I said in the beginning, I want to invite all of you all, because we are part of the same zone. 21 American devotees from Northern California came a couple of years ago, and they all said it was the closest thing to put a party that they had experienced. They went to the house building, the feeding, they visited the schools, on the radio programs, and they attended many Sai satsangs. So in closing, I want to express my gratitude and appreciation for the organizers and my dear brother Sai for putting this program together and allowing us all to share and receive the love of Mother Sai. May Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba continue to bless and guide all of us. And as we aspire on the spiritual path, let us ceaselessly strive to be wonderful examples of His divine love. Jai Sai Ram.